Good morning. Welcome to Daily Bread. And today we're going to start reading from Nehemiah chapter 4. All right. When Sanballat heard that we were going to rebuild the wall, he became angry and was greatly incensed. He ridiculed the Jews, and in the presence of his associate and the army of Samaria, he said, "What are those feeble Jews doing? Will they restore their wall? Will they offer sacrifices? Will they finish the day in a day? Can they bring those stones back to life from those heap of rubble, burned as they are?" Tobiah the Amorite, who was at his side, said, "What they are building, even a fox climb up on it would break down. The walls of stones. Hear us, our God, for we are despised. Turn their insult back to their own head. Give them over as plunder in the land of captivity. Do not cover up their guilt or blot out their sins from your sight, for they have thrown insults in the face of the builders." So we rebuilt the wall till all of it reached half its height, for the people work with their heart. But when Sanballat, Tobiah, and the Arabs, the Amorites, and the people of Ashdod heard that the repair of Jerusalem's wall had done ahead and that the gap had been closed, they were very angry. They all plotted together to come and fight against Jerusalem and stir up trouble against it. But we prayed to our God and posted a guard day and night to meet this threat. Meanwhile, the people in Judah said, "The strength of the laborer is given out, and there is so much rubble that we cannot rebuild the wall." Also our enemies said, "Before they know it or see us, we will be right there among them, and will kill them and put an end to the work." That the Jew who lived near them came and told us 10 times over, "Whenever you turn, they will attack us." Therefore, I stationed some of the people behind the lowest point of the wall at the exposed place, posting them by families with the sword, spears, and bow. After I looked things over, I stood up and said to the noble of the official and the rest of the people, "Don't be afraid of them. Remember the Lord, who is great and awesome, and fight for our families, our sons and our daughters, your wives, your home." When our enemies heard that we were aware of their plot and that God had been frustrated, we all returned to the wall, each to our own work. From that day on, half of my men did the work, while the other half were equipped with spears, shields, bow, and armor. The officers posted themselves behind all the people of Judah who were building the wall. Those who carried material did their work with one hand and held weapon in the other. And each of the builders wore his sword at his side as he would. But the man who sounded the trumpet stayed with me. Then I said to the noble, the official, and the rest of the people, the work is extensive and spread out, and we are widely separated from each other along the wall. Whenever you hear sound of the trumpet, join us there. Our God will fight for us. So we continue to work with half of the men holding the spears from the first light of dawn till the star came out. And that time I also said to the people, have every man and his helper stay inside Jerusalem at night, so they can serve us as guard by night, as worker by day. Neither I, nor my brothers, nor my men, nor the guards with me took off our clothes. Each had his weapon, even when we went for water. That's Nehemiah 4. And all right. As I was reading this, something comes to my mind as always. Whenever we're about to do something, a project or considerations of things, I would say it's something we want to do to help build the faith for our children. The enemy always comes to attack, and he comes to frustrate us. But Nehemiah here is such an awesome leader, and that he held the people together. Wow, that's something we can learn. All right, Nehemiah 4:1-5 said, ridicule can cut deeply, causing discouragement and despair. Sanballat and Tobiah used ridicule to try to dissuade the Jews from building the wall. Instead of trading insults, however, Nehemiah prayed and will continue. When you are mocked for your faith or criticized for doing what you know is right, refuse to respond to in the same way or become discouraged. Tell God how you feel. Remember, His promise be with you. This will give you encouragement and strength to carry on. Almost 300 years before Nehemiah's time, the northern kingdom of Israel had been conquered, and most of the people had been carried away captive in 722 BC. Sargon of Assyria has repopulated Israel with captives from other lands. This captive eventually intermarried with the few Israelites who remained in the land from a mixed race of the people who became known as Samaritan. The Jew who returned to Jerusalem and the southern region of Judea during the days of Ezra and Nehemiah would have nothing to do with Samaritan, whom they considered to be racially and religiously impure. Relations with both groups grew progressively worse. 40 years later, the Jew and the Samaritan hated each other. Sanballat was the governor of Samaria and the region just north of Judea, where Jerusalem was located. Sanballat may have hoped to become governor of Judah as well, but Nehemiah's arrival spoiled his plan. For his other reason of opposing Nehemiah, see note 210. Sanballat tried to scare Nehemiah away, or at least discourage him by scorn, threat, and bluff. Nehemiah was praying not for revenge, but that God's justice would be carried out. His prayer is similar to many of David's in Psalm 7, 1-6. The work of rebuilding the wall progressed well because the people had set their heart and mind on completing the task. They did not lose faith or give up, but instead persevered in the work. If God had called you to a task, determined to complete it, even if you face opposition or discouragement, the reward of work well done will be worth the effort. Nehemiah constantly combined prayer with preparation and planning. His people first trusted God, at the same time kept vigilant watch over what had been entrusted to them. Too often, we pray without looking for what God wants us to do. We show God we are serious when we combine prayer with thought, preparation, and effort. The people who work on the wall faced the continual threat of terrorist attack from those who didn't want to see Jerusalem rebuilt. Threat demoralized. The tensions created by possibility of sudden assault add to fatigue. Nehemiah took wise practical steps to counter the threat. He stationed guard at obvious weak point. He reminded the workers keep weapon close at hand and fight for God, their families, and the nation if an attack came. He established duty rotation so that some stood guard while others worked. The preparation for defense and continuations of the work reverse the effect of terrorism and demoralize the enemy. Obstacles and foes can either make us work smarter and live wiser, or make us give up our purpose and our way of living. If they accomplish the latter, they have won, even if they haven't actually attacked us. But if we adjust our way of living wisely, we'll continue resolutely to live under God's instruction, the opposition will fail. Accomplish many large tasks is tiring. There are always pressures that foster discouragement. The task seems impossible. It can never be finished, or too many factors are working against us. The only cure for fatigue and discouragement is focus on God's purpose. Nehemiah reminds the worker of their calling, their goal, the God's protection. If you are overwhelmed by an assignment, tired and discouraged, remember God's purpose for your life and His special purpose for the project. Look for devout and prayerful leaders and fellow workers. Encourage them as they are driven by God's purpose. Then give yourself wholeheartedly to completing the project. The worker was spread out along the wall, so Nehemiah devised a plan of defense and would unite and protect his people. Half of the men worked while the other half stood guard. Christians need to help one another in the same way, because we can become so afraid of possible danger that we can't get anything done. But look out for each other. We will be free to put forth our best effort. Confidence that others are ready to offer help when needed. Don't cut out yourself off from others. Instead, join together with them for mutual benefit. You need them as much as they need you. To further relieve the anxiety of the people, Nehemiah set up a communication system. The man who sounded the trumpet stayed with Nehemiah, and the people knew what to do if they heard it. We have no record that the trumpet was ever used, but simply knowing it would issue a warning when needed was reassuring. The systems also put doubt into the mind of those trying to terrorize the workforce, since the people of the wall were no longer a passive target. The promise of open, immediate communication helped the group counter the enemy threat and accomplish the reconstruction of the wall in record time. Although the exact meaning of the Hebrew word behind the phrase, even when he went for water, is unclear, it has also been translated in his right hand or his right hand at night. The point is that each person always had a weapon close at hand. The guard were alert and prepared to take their responsibility seriously. We should ask God to guide us and keep us alert to our surrounding. The good we can accomplish, and to the enemy who seek to harm us. Okay, let's read it again. We should ask God to guide us and keep us alert to our surrounding, to the good we can accomplish, and to the enemy who seek to harm us. But being vigilant would not make us over anxious or fearful. On the contrary, it would help us to be better prepared to live confidently and joyfully. And that is Nehemiah 4. And that's what a wonderful reading. Thank you, Lord, for your word.